President-elect Donald Trump is appointing one evangelical Christian, one pro-Israel evangelical Christian after another. It's been a very dramatic several days as Trump appoints his national security team, and it is incredibly encouraging and impressive. There was some concern a few days ago when President-elect Donald Trump announced on social media, on his Truth social media platform, that he would not be appointing former CIA director, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to be part of his cabinet. That was a surprise to many, myself included, because Pompeo was an extremely effective and very loyal advisor to President Trump in his first term, both as CIA director and as Secretary of State. So that raised some concerns. If an evangelical of that experience and that pro-Israel, anti-Iranian regime, strong foreign policy experience and credentials, and loyalty to President Trump wasn't going to be in the administration, what was going on? Were people who might not be as strong on these various issues becoming in administration, but not to fear. Again, me personally, I'll tell you, I'm disappointed and still a little confused by the decision Trump made on Pompeo. That comes from a lot of attacks that against Pompeo by Tucker Carlson and some others. We'll deal with that at a different time, but there's really good news today, and as part of All Israel News, as you are part of our sort of reporting family, as we're trying to explain what's happening, why it matters, how you can be praying, this is big news. Several key pieces. First, let's point out that President-elect Trump just announced late on Tuesday that he has nominated former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee to be the next United States ambassador to Israel. This is a huge development, and it's hugely positive. First of all, Mike is a dear friend. I've known him for many years. Mike is a devout evangelical Christian. He loves Israel and the Jewish people. He has literally traveled here for more than 50 years. He has brought dozens of delegations and tour groups to visit Israel. Mike Huckabee has been to Israel more than 100 times in his lifetime, which is really an astonishing thing for someone who's not an Israeli citizen. He's not Jewish. He's an ordained Southern Baptist pastor, though his main calling was in politics for many years, serving as the governor of a very Christian state in Arkansas. His daughter, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, not only served as Trump's press secretary in the first administration, but now she is the governor of Arkansas, and that's what a huge accomplishment. And of course, Huckabee has become very famous not only for running for president, both in 2008 and again in 2016. Obviously, did not get the nomination, and Trump did in 2016. But Huckabee became a very loyal advisor and encourager and prayer supporter and friend of Donald Trump. Huckabee is also very well known because he was the host of a very, very popular TV show, weekly TV show on the Fox News Network, and more recently, in the last 5 or 6 years, on TBN, the Trinity Broadcasting Network, which is the most watched Christian television network in the United States. And so Huckabee has a show in prime time on Saturday nights. I've been on that show, and he's going to have to give up that show now to become the next ambassador. But one of the things that's interesting to me, and I think it will be to you because you are part of the All Israel News family, is that the first person I asked to serve on the All Israel News Advisory Board back in the summer of 2020, when we were about to launch, was Mike Huckabee. And Mike absolutely, immediately, and graciously agreed to do that. My interview with Huckabee was the first interview that we published on the All Israel News site In fact, it was a multi-part series when we launched on September 1st, 2020. So what I'm trying to say is I literally cannot think of a stronger, more solid pro-Israel evangelical Christian who could advise President Trump on Israel. And now Huckabee is going to be the next U.S. ambassador to Israel. Not only is that wonderful, just from a personal side, I'm looking forward to welcoming back to Jerusalem. I was emailing him with last night. He said literally he was shocked. I mean, he knew that it was in motion, but for Trump to actually make that decision was shocking and encouraging to him. And so anyway, I'm looking forward to welcoming him to Jerusalem soon. But this is an historic decision by Trump for two reasons. First, this is the first time that an openly devout, very unabashed evangelical follower of Jesus has ever been appointed U.S. ambassador to Israel. I'm not saying there haven't been other Christians that have served over the years, but somebody who is an ordained Southern Baptist minister, someone who's written books about his faith in Jesus Christ, who's very open about his faith in Jesus Christ, who serves on the advisory board of, this pro-Israel media outlet known as All Israel News. That's a big deal. Like we just never seen that happen before. What's also historic about this is that in about 20 years, a non-Jewish ambassador has not been appointed. The current ambassador that Biden has here in Israel, Jack Lew, Jewish. The previous ambassador, a friend of mine, Tom Nides, a Democrat, Jewish. Prior to that was David Friedman, the Trump ambassador for all 4 years to Israel, Orthodox Jewish. Before that was another Jewish man Dan Shapiro, who served during the Obama-Biden years as ambassador here. So it's a long history. And if you go back further into the Clinton years, in fact, Martin Indyk, Jewish. And so good, there's nothing wrong with that. All good men, some I agreed with, some I didn't. That was not the main issue. But it's for a long, long time, American presidents have felt it would be good to appoint a Jewish person to be the liaison, the top liaison between the United States and Israel, and sort of lead the U.S.-Israel relationship. And President Trump has decided, while he loves David Friedman, the next round, he wanted to appoint Mike Huckabee, and that sends a message. The first message is that Trump is unabashedly pro-Israel, and that is not going to change. Just because Mike Pompeo isn't going to be in this mix this season, Mike Huckabee is the strongest possible person that he could have appointed as an evangelical Christian who loves Israel. So that's fantastic. You would never appoint Mike Huckabee to be the U.S. ambassador to Israel unless you really agreed and they saw eye to eye, and the Huckabee represented the values, the instincts, as well as the policies of Donald Trump. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that Trump is acknowledging effectively the enormous influence of the 60 million evangelical Christians in the United States, the vast majority of whom are pro-Israel, right? So Trump, without saying it precisely, but effectively, he's acknowledging that the strength of the U.S.-Israel relationship is driven by pro-Israel Christians, not primarily by pro-Israel Jews in America. Again, the Jewish community is hugely important, and Trump has already appointed several Jewish people in high-level positions. We'll talk about that again in the days ahead. But it's just important to understand that Trump understands something that Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has expressed, as has his Minister of Strategic Affairs, Ron Dermer, that the Jewish community is only 2% of the American population. Important, valued, respected enormously in both parties, certainly in the Republican Party. But the driving force of what keeps the U.S.-Israel relationship close is the fact that there are some 60 million evangelical Christians who love Israel deeply and passionately. So this is a big. I want to just touch on a few other appointments quickly. We'll go into more detail later. The main news is Huckabee, pro-Israel, devout evangelical, appointed as the U.S. ambassador, and he's getting rave reviews from the Jewish community, from Israeli leaders. New Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sar immediately tweeting out a photo that I took of the two of them, because I brought Mike Huckabee and I co-led a delegation of evangelical Christian leaders to come here to Israel in December of last year on what he and I called, Huckabee and I called, a solidarity mission, just to stand with Israel after October 7th, meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu, whom Huckabee is very close to, meet with hostage families, pray for them, walk through the devastated communities along the Gaza border and so forth, and just hear from and understand firsthand what Israel was going through. And this was the first high-level evangelical delegation that had come, and I was honored to host that with Mike Huckabee, again, for All Israel News and for our other nonprofit ministry, the Joshua Fund. So just a couple other quick points. We expect Marco Rubio, the Florida senator, to be appointed to be Secretary of State. Not confirmed as I record this, but that's all the buzz. He's a strong evangelical Christian. Well, if that becomes official, I'll talk to you about my friendship with Marco Rubio and what I know about him firsthand, and how pro-Israel he is and how strong he is. Marco Rubio is against the Iranian regime, and how tough he is on Russia and China, communist China. So we'll deal with that. Pete Hegseth, the 20-year veteran of the U.S. Army, evangelical Christian. By the way, Marco Rubio, evangelical Christian. Pete Hegseth now appointed to be nominated to the Trump Secretary of Defense. 20 years in the military, went to Princeton, went to Harvard, 20-year military veteran, has written extensively and commented extensively on the problems inside the U.S. military and how to solve those problems, especially the wokeness inside the Pentagon, inside the military. Hegseth is a fantastic choice, and he'll be a great communicator of U.S. defense policy. Again, a devout evangelical Christian who loves Israel. So these are some big developments, and we'll continue to track them at All Israel News. But I wanted to give you this quick briefing as the news begins to spread across the United States, across the world. Who is Mike Huckabee? Who are these evangelicals? Why is Trump appointing so many of them to help him, not just on domestic policy, but on foreign policy and national security? In Herzliya, right along the Mediterranean shore, beautiful city of Israel, this is Joel Rosenberg for All Israel News. God bless you.